I have great respect for Teddy Roosevelt too. You know, he had been sort of a, as I understand it, had ill health as a youngster, and he was able to overcome that, and then he just got in there and did it. You know, he decided he was going to be what he wanted to be, and he went for it. So, okay, so now I'm going to start to tighten up. I see the way his glasses catch here, and I'm just going to start to get in the features as I see them. So bear with me. This is probably the most boring part of watching someone paint or draw, but nonetheless it's the bones of the painting, so I got to get that. He's got these spectacles that I think sort of perch on his nose. What's nice about them, in my opinion, is the shape and where the light catches some of the metallic and the glass parts here. So I want to get those in, plus the thickness of the spectacles. And from there you can pull out where the various other reference points are. Such as, here's where his eye comes in here. And in the photograph, his eye is really catching light. So this is an area of the piece I want to catch. Nice bit of light in his eyes here. Looking forward with great studied solemnity. A serious soldier, I gather. And then over here, spectacles, and this is kind of cool. This is what's fun about, you know, what you can learn. I can see that it's like a monocle almost. He's got this little hook in the glasses where this sort of a lariat comes down. And so in those days you would hoist your glasses up and perch them on your nose. And it's kind of interesting, different than how we do it here today. Okay, so far so good here. Got his eyebrow wrapping around here, and then we come up to where his hat is. And this just wraps around way down here. Okay. Good to take measurements as you go. You see that if I look over here, I measure from the glasses over, and there's 1, 2, about 2 further widths. So this allows me to see where I want to end his back of his head, and that's going to be right about there. So this helps me get my proportions correctly. Okay. So what I like about this photo, excuse me, is that in those days men wore these great mustaches. You know, we sort of reprised these in the 1960s too, but nonetheless, what's really cool, Teddy Roosevelt, the thing that makes him look the way he did is he had these great mustaches, which were quite a fashion statement in the time. So I want to get this massive wad of hair here that droops like a handlebar and sticks out. So he had quite a set of mustaches here. So anyway, I'm going to work on that, bring this down. This gives him sort of this walrus countenance, and then his lower lip jutting out here, and this lines up with right underneath his nose. So what I'm suggesting to you is that as you draw, try to see where things line up, where the chin comes down, you know, and the requisite space. Sometimes I just simply with my fingers, I'll just take a quick measurement to see, okay, his nose is just slightly longer from his brow to the tip of his nose, is slightly longer than the base of the nose to the chin. So if I measure that correctly, I'm pretty well on track here. So I want to get his chin coming up, and then his neck sort of creeps down into his collar right here. And he's got this stiff military collar. So I suppose I would be making a face like this if I had to wear this starched braided collar with all the military insignia on it. All right. So his forehead comes up here into his hat. He's got this little shadow area here. The hat comes down, meets his forehead right about there. So we're doing all right here. And then the hat's this really great shape. It looks like it's been blowing in the wind, sort of got this rakish fold in it. Comes up here. There's a crease that comes down here, meets there. And then it wraps up here and then sweeps down in the back. So I guess this was the style of the time, the adventurous style. He's got these very close cropped military sideburns, and they run from right about at the lower edge of the glasses. So again, taking these comparative measurements helped me to get his face in the proportional. With a portrait, you have to get things in the right place. And not only are the features prominent in and of themselves, but how they're spaced is really very important. Simply having something just a centimeter off, or even less than that, like a 1/16 of an inch, can dramatically change how someone looks. So I'm just trying to get the ear shape in here in the right place. So especially if you're doing a portrait of someone's hiring you to draw their portrait. I've seen some incredible portraits done by very well established painters that at some point were rejected simply because the person didn't like it for whatever reasons. And there may be any number of reasons. The portrait might actually be too close to the truth, and they didn't particularly care for the truth that was being illustrated there, which is why in the old days portrait artists in a king's court always made sure the king was some stud on horseback slaying a dragon with a suit of armor on there, even if the king was a runt. So you gotta please the client, so to speak, or lose your head, I suppose. Okay, getting the collar in here. And as I draw, I'm just really, the key to good drawing is to really look at what you're drawing so that you can get an accurate rendering here. I can see my ears a little too close, but I think we can get away with that. We'll try. What's nice in here is this area starts to disappear into the background. So later on in the painting, I'm going to hope to catch a little of that, what I call lost and found, which is a really nice way to address a painting. I'm going to change that ear while I'm thinking about it. That goes back a little further. So what I do is I measure the nose, and I see 1, 2. There's about 1. So the ear actually is back here a little further. And what this does, by getting the ear in the right place, it makes his face look a little wider, which it is. And I study the shape of the ear so that I see how the cartilage bends in here and works. to give me the structure of the ear. All right. The secret to drawing is to take the time to look at it and correct as you go. That's all it is, taking the time to really look at something and study it. That way you get the shapes in the right place and you get the draftsmanship correctly.